Today I've got 10 harsh truths, even taboo topics about retirement. For the last week, I've been searching for the realities of retirement that nobody talks about. They're just kind of ugly, okay? And nobody knows how to handle them. But I think it's wise for those folks contemplating retirement, 1 or 2 years into retirement, maybe even 5, 6 years into retirement, to understand that you're not alone in this, that a lot of people experience these items. Okay. A certified financial planner won't cover these topics. Okay. So let's jump right in. And I got to read here a little bit because I created an outline for this. Time abundance can be crippling without direction. The dream is to stop working, stop the boss interventions and the task, and just do nothing. Well, that sounds great, but it can turn into the fog of meaninglessness. And so many people, 1, 2, 3, 4 years after retirement, say, I shouldn't have retired. And that's because they don't have direction on what they're going to do with their lives. And relaxing 100% of the time on the beach is not what 99.9% of us are hardwired to do. The lack of urgency, lack of deadlines, lack of commitments can just turn into, couch surfing, sitting on the couch and watching television reruns. And that's not going to be fulfilling. It's great for first few months of retirement. Don't get me wrong. It's great. But I'm telling you, most people get out of that. So think about what you're going to do with your time. It's a big deal. Number two, the retirement of your spouse changes everything. Okay. So you've had this lifestyle where both of you get up and go to work. You're gone for 10 hours. You're thinking about work. Work's on your mind. When you come home, you've got chores to do around the house, cut the grass, paint the house, whatever you do with your time, work in the garden, trim the trees. And then everything changes. All of a sudden you have 16 hours a day, unrestricted, unscripted time with your spouse. That's a big deal. What are you going to do with your time? Are you going to do things together, go on journeys together all the time? Are you going to have some journeys you go on by yourself? It's household expectations. Who's going to do the laundry? Who's going to vacuum? Who's going to cut the grass now? All those things change right there in front of you day one. Okay. Don't forget, even if your spouse was stay at home for the last 10 years or retired before you, you're interrupting their space and their culture that they've developed. This is a big deal and something that I underestimated. Most of our arguments, and if you're married, you have arguments. I've been married 37 years, just part of it, because we're not all the same. We had different expectations of what an average Tuesday was going to look like. So I encourage you to sit down with your spouse and talk about what's an average day look like. Not when you're traveling, not when you're babysitting grandkids. Just what's an average Tuesday look like? What time do you get up in the morning? Do you want to do something together? Want to walk together? Or are you going to exercise on your own, for example? Third taboo topic is your social circle shrinks. Some of those are deaths of colleagues, friends, neighbors, relatives, and some of them just for disinterest. You're just, when you work together, you had that common challenge, common obstacle. You were trying to set a production goal for the month. You were trying to hit a quality goal. You were on a team. Now, when you take away that common goal or interest that you had at work, these are just people, and sometimes people that you don't have a lot in common with. And those work connections can fade. They can fade. I do have a Friday morning retirement group from my previous employer, and there's 15 of us in that group. At any one time, about 8 to 10 of us come to these meetings because vacations, travel, family obligations. But my social circle went from several hundred to just a handful. That's reality, and it's not automatic. So you may find yourself 65 years old needing to find a friend group to play pickleball with, to play golf with, to travel with, um, start a retirement group, and just different people. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying get ready. Number 4, this one's big, and this is true for my wife and I. Too much travel can be exhausting and unfulfilling. When you're traveling, there's a lot of planning that goes into that. A lot of the planning goes wrong. Some of it goes right. Most of it goes right for me, I would say. But getting up every morning in a new place, uh, that can be exciting. But you do that for more. My wife and I have determined 2 weeks is really a good amount of time we like being gone. 2 week travel. And then both of us are ready to come home. And, so we'll do maybe 5 of those, I'd say on the high end, a year, 5 or so big trips. Some of them pushing 3 weeks, but my wife really likes to. I kind of lean towards 3. We did one 4-week vacation, but jet lag, being tired, sleeping in a new bed, new place to go grocery shopping, new place to find a church, new exercise routines change. Um, when you come home, there's bills, there's emails and things that pile up. You get behind on yard work. You gotta, it could just be exhausting. I love travel. I love travel, but I need to limit my travel. Okay. Number 5. Have you ever heard these first 4? Let me know if you've heard those 4. Number 5 is you might resent your grandkids. Ew. Ew. This is an ugly one. This is real ugly. But I found, I had this thought, and then I kind of researched a little bit. Yeah, it's like, hey, you've raised your kids. They moved out. You've developed this lifestyle, these habits, these things you like to volunteer for, things you like to do as a hobby, things you like to read. And then sometime, I have one grandchild. Couldn't love her anymore. She's over at the house right now. But sometimes you're asked to help out here or there, for a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days when there's a babysitter problem. And that can be exhausting. Not only exhausting, but it messes up your routine and it can be a little frustrating. But I didn't say you don't love your grandchildren enormously, but I did say this out loud. I hesitated putting this one in there, but sometimes your grandchildren can cause you to have a job that you really weren't looking for. Number 6. I hope that didn't come across wrong. 6. Retirement doesn't fix marital issues. It exposes them. So if you have little quirks of your personality that you didn't have to deal with when you're both working, then when you're both at home and you're spending a lot of time together, those little quirks, little, behaviors of, leaving a dish in the sink versus putting it in the dishwasher, not doing, laundry on a certain day, not cutting grass. Why didn't you cut grass yesterday? Hopefully you can hear me over the storm warnings that are going off right now. But it's a big change to your marriage. Number 6. Number 7, you may feel invisible in society. I had a job where I was an engineer, I was department leader, plant manager, and with that you felt there's always a little ego with your position. And that goes away. I'm just Joe. I'm just Joe. Now, I'm rare, I found. I love being just Joe. I love it that nobody's paying attention to me or nobody's treating me different because of the position that I held. And most likely, when you were working and you had that ego with your career, nobody was even paying attention to you anyway. Um, but anyway, it's a feeling change that who am I? And you can feel invisible. Am I contributing to society? And that's why a lot of us reach out to nonprofits. I belong to Habitat. I build paint houses, help build houses. I'm with a nonprofit with parks. I make this YouTube channel. I have 2 retirement groups. I'm in a study group. I've got a lot of things going on, but all that's not, I think, partially to not feel invisible. But I have this desire to learn, strong desire to learn. Number 8, retirement. You can feel a little bit guilty about retirement. You gave up. Why aren't you contributing to society? You watch the news and the economy and all that, and you're like, hey, I've just given up. Well, I look at it like I've done my tour, and I did it pretty hard, pretty intense 32 years for me. But there can be guilt of not being productive. Doesn't hit me too much, but I admit it's a little bit there certain days. When I think about it, like, gosh, I'd love to go in and help a organization change their reliability and maintenance practices and have a less drama and lower cost to be more competitive. Number 9, um, the second curve, I called it that is rarely prepared for. Few plan for their second act. What are you going to do in the second act of your life? Some people call it the fourth quarter of your life. You've already won the game. What are you going to do? You got to reinvent yourself, um, to give it meaning, purpose, and to make an impact and to be at peace and not be bored. Nobody warned you really hard enough around how much time you have in retirement, and you control all that time. Like I said, that's not always a positive. Number 10, and I don't like this one at all, but it's true. Cognitive decline can happen sooner than you expect. Most of you know that my mom passed away. She was 86, had dementia, really started hitting the dementia. You could tell maybe 4 years ago, but it was just kind of funny, I'll say, at the time. Not funny, but it was just kind of like, why'd you say that? Um, forgetting what my mom had for dinner or anything like that. And I'm not trying to make light of dementia, but it just kind of starts off as these little quirks, and then it impacts your life. And mom passed away, and that's what it said on the death certificate, was dementia. Um, but I noticed myself, I don't have the memory and the name recognition of other people that I had when I was working. I don't have the math skills that I had when I was working, and I try to work on that. I try to stay sharp. I think these videos helps me. Uh, I try to study things, but I'm not as good with math. I used to be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide big numbers, multiple numbers in my head, and keep 500 priorities in line, projects in line. And now I don't like having more than 2 things to do in a day. I get a little stress, when I have 3, 4, 5 things to do today. And, that it's laughable when you compare where I was 6 years ago. I think some of that just, you don't exercise that muscle as much. Hey, I like to have 0 to 1 things to do a day, where I was used to having 25. And you lose that skill. And is that a mental decline? Is it physical that's happening? Or is it just a lack of flexing a muscle that I could get back instantaneously if I wanted to, or maybe over a couple months? So anyway, those are 10 things that I decided were things that aren't talked about at all on YouTube and magazines about retirement. And these things, none of these are that pretty. But they're worth some thought. You've got another harsh reality of retirement that I missed, put it in the comments, get a discussion going. Hey, 100% of my content comes from viewer comments. So give me some gold and I'll turn it into a video. Good chance. I try to make 4 videos a week, sometimes 3. Still out.